Hey y'all. Hi. I am rusty. I have been gone. I haven't filmed in a couple of weeks. I'm going to talk all about that in this video. I'm just going to put on makeup featuring a bunch of Victoria Beckham makeup that I bought for myself because when I was editing my own makeup declutter from the beginning of this year, my full collection makeup declutter, something about, I think it was when I decluttered Onyx, the VB Beauty eyeshadow, it made me want to try a bunch of things from the brand and kind of revisit and review. So I've been testing these. I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell you where I've been, what happened, and what's next. So let's just be together and get caught up. Let's get right into the meat of the video. First things first, my lips are really dry. I am going to put on this Kosas lip balm. It's the Kosas Plump and Juicy Collagen Lip Boost, which look at this. When Kosas released this product the first time and they sent it to me, I had very mixed feelings about it because I love the way that it coats the lips. I love how nourishing it is. I really like how shiny it is. And it instantly became one of my favorite clear lip treatments. I just kept going back to it over and over again. But it was so thick that no matter how hard I squeezed, it would barely eke little bits of it out. It was so frustrating. It was like I had to use extreme grip strength to get it out. They must have changed the formula because this, I think that this is a different one. I think they might have sent me another one in PR and this one behaves normally when you squeeze it. So maybe there was just something wrong with that first one that I had, but that's good news. I just dyed my eyebrows this morning, so they're looking pretty intense, which means that I think I'm going to have to use more eye makeup than I have been. I'll need to put on a fairly present and noticeable eye look to balance out the intensity of the eyebrows. But what better day on which to be reviewing a bunch of VB Beauty because a couple of those products are eye products. And I feel like, it's going to be an eye look, but it's going to be wearable for me, like something that makes sense with just wearing my Anina Bing sweatshirt and my glamorous day of doing work after this, doing some work at home and then going to pick up my kid from school and then cooking supper. I'm putting on an eye look that makes sense with that lifestyle. And I think VB Beauty is good for that. It's subtly glamorous, or you can keep it subtly glamorous. Lived in glamour. Glamour that doesn't make you say to yourself, what are you doing here? All right, brows are, I used, by the way, the Refi Brow Sculpt. That's what I've been using for my brows lately. And now we're caught up. Okay, I'm going to put on a little bit of complexion. And I have been testing this Victoria Beckham by Augustinus Bader, the concealer pen, luminous coverage, and it's the lightest shade FL1. I'm going to put this on and tell you about it because I've been wearing it a lot and I have thoughts. And then I'm going to, while I finish doing my complexion, I'm going to tell you where I've been and what happened. Okay, so briefly, it is thicker than I expected. And I think that that's because it's in the physical format of YSL Touche Eclat, which is like an iconic sort of tinted, lightweight concealer tint product that is very beautiful and that I've owned before, although it was a long time ago. This is more of a true concealer and it conceals beautifully. When I first put it on, I realized it was thicker than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh no, this is like more makeup than I bargained for. Like, look, you can see that, right? It's really concealing. It's really covering, like really a lot. And it's physically a little bit thicker. It's not serum, But you can see it has a slightly sheer and luminous quality that's really beautiful. Even though it's not aggressively olive toned, it is still neutral enough to work for me. And this is the highest praise I could give at this moment in my career as a human who wears makeup. I never think about it. The application process always goes seamlessly. It always looks great. And it always looks great at the end of the day as well. It does its job seamlessly. It evens out my skin tone, brightens up my face. It's a pleasure to use and I never think about it. It just is flawless. It performs flawlessly. I also have not been obsessed with it. It doesn't present something aggressively magical like the Refi concealer, which has that luminous finish, almost like the skin is glistening, but without actually having glitter in it. In that way, it's like the thing that makes it stand out is that it's doing its job impeccably and nothing more, which is kind of standout in the world of makeup. And I think for a lot of us, that's what we're looking for. It's really expensive. I just got it because this is my job. And I was like, I'm going to review that Victoria Beckham product. And I like it and I like having it. I don't see myself immediately wanting to buy it again when I'm done with it because I have other complexion products that I really like. I feel like I just use it for the high points like you just saw me doing. And then what I tend to do is to go in with something else to cover the rest of the planes of my face, because I feel like it would take so many clicks and so much of it, and you don't want to waste it. It feels like it's a pretty high price point for each little smear of it. But given that I have it and I'm using it, I really like it. I've been using the Lisa Eldridge T1.5 Seamless Skin Tint to complement, to kind of like fill it out and do the rest of my face. Okay, so that's complexion. Where I've been. We took a break. We took a break from work. Joe and I took a break kind of for the first time in our career, our sort of joint career running this YouTube channel. We took a planned break from work for the first time since parental leave. So when our child was born a couple of years ago, we had to create our own parental leave because we're self-employed and YouTube doesn't have paid parental leave, you know? So we prepped a bunch of videos in advance. This is back when our kid was born. We prepped a bunch of compilation videos, like videos, a bunch of videos stuck together into one long video, because I know a lot of people like to watch playlists, a bunch of videos on the same topic, one after another. And the idea behind the compilations was like, what if we could offer that, but condensed? So the intros and outros are all kind of cut out so that one just flows into the next and you don't have to watch the same intro and outro over and over again. It's just the meat of the video and it's one long video. Really good for like people who need to hear a human voice when they're sleeping. I know that's a lot of you. People who like to have sort of that gentle cadence of entertainment when they're cleaning or doing some other kind of work or long drive or something like that, you know. So I know that there's a place for that in people's lives. We did that for parental leave and it worked out really well. We did the same thing for this break. You probably noticed if you watch most of the videos that we post that 4 in a row pretty recently were compilation videos. There were 2 new makeup hot takes compilations, like a bunch of new makeup hot takes all strung together in one long video. And then there were 2 that were fashion videos. See how well it works, those 2 products together? I think they both have that quality of retaining the look of real skin. Like, this may be a weird thing to say, but my skin right here, right now, it almost looks like I just had a facial, but I have really good clear skin instead of the redness that I actually have. That's the look of it, right? It's like very, very healthy, refreshed, bare skin that's really even toned. That's like what I want out of my complexion products. I don't want that completely caked over, extremely like monochromatic and monotone skin, because then I have to pile on more product to bring it back to life. This looks like it's still alive, you know? So moving on to, oh, you know what I want? Moving on to, we'll do eyes. I want my Salt New York products, but I'm gonna put them on after I do my eye makeup. We realized that we could not go on without a little reset, without a little break to replenish our humors and our creative juices, and frankly, also to do some things in the house. Like the background is still not done. We didn't get to it during what we called our hiatus. Those of you who follow us on Patreon and listen to our weekly podcast on Patreon, Joe and I have a weekly podcast that's available to Patreon members, and you can join Patreon for as little as $1 a month and hear the podcast. So we've been chronicling the lead up to the hiatus itself, and like a hiatus post-mortem we have done in detail on the Patreon podcast. So those are my patrons, you already know how it's been. So this background very soon will be much better than it is now. It's just there are many other parts of the house that needed not deep renovation like gutting and rebuilding, but total overhaul. Like to be totally overhauled. Everything moved out, painted, and then like shelving installed and maybe a new piece of furniture here and there. Just like a lot of things put together, furniture put together, a lot of labor that we don't have the capacity to do when we're also parenting our toddler, because it needs to be like both of us at once doing it, and it's often loud things that we can't do while he's napping. So it has to be done when he's at school and the 2 of us are free, and we never had that time. There was never time when he was at school and we were free. So there are all of these projects just piling up and kind of clogging up our home, which is also our workspace. We were just like completely hemmed in and nothing was really functional, and we had just been like working in that state for so long. We were like, we need to clear some time to make progress on my office, Joe's office, and a couple other things around the house. Like we needed to build like a little bit of closetry into the corner of our bedroom so that I can have access to some of my clothes in our bedroom where I get dressed. And that's also going to be room for me to have like a capsule wardrobe that I can showcase on YouTube. Like these are the clothes I'm wearing this season, and then the other clothes are stored somewhere else rather than being there. It was so chaotic where my clothes were and where I got dressed and where I had access to them. We've lived in the house for over a year, and it was just like there was nowhere for anything to go. Kind of is how it felt. We needed time to do that in the house. I'm gonna put on eye makeup while I talk. Here are my two choices. Victoria Beckham, actually, I have three things for eye makeup. Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Jewel Liner in Smoky Quartz and Coco Pave. So I think Coco Pave is new, and it's like a brown with shimmers in it. And Smoky Quartz I don't think is new. In fact, I think this might be a color that I used to have. No, I used to have bronze. I said bronze. Smoky Quartz is there on top. Coco Pave is underneath. The most stunning colors. And I love this product. By the way, I cut my nails super short for the hiatus. On like the first day of hiatus, I was like, because I wasn't going to be filming anything overhead. We didn't do anything, go anywhere. It was just like, we were just doing projects, like construction projects and work projects in the house. And I was doing a lot of writing. That's the other thing. I really got to spend some like long days just writing during the hiatus, which was a dream. So I cut them really short. And I have an appointment later this week I think I'm going to get like gel tips put back on and let them grow out underneath. That's what I did last time. And then they eventually got so that they were my natural nails just with gel. And they have been like that for a while before I cut them down. It's not until a couple of days from now. So you're seeing my hiatus nails on YouTube. So bronze is like a warmer version of Smoky Quartz here. And that was always the best for me of this product. And Smoky Quartz is even better. It's like the perfect color in this perfect creamy eyeliner. So I'm going to put this on my outer corner, kind of like maybe wing it out a little bit. And then I'm going to use, you already know, Mink. I've wanted this since it was released like at the very beginning of her brand. Years ago, my friends, years ago. Now I used our review budget to purchase these Victoria Beckham things. I was saying before that I don't know if I would spend my personal budget for makeup on the concealer pen again after I use it up. This though, I absolutely would do that. If I was like, I have budget to buy one luxury eyeliner, I would totally pick this one. Or it would at least be a contender. I think this is really worth it. And it has this little smudge stick on the end, which is what I was using to smudge it. I mean, I love how that looks already. I don't feel like it needs more. I really like that. But because we're doing this, I'm going to also use a brush to put on some Mink. So what I was about to say is that we needed space and time to push through some big house projects and get the house more functional. And in a way that was also going on emotionally and mentally. In a way though, I think mentally for me with work, I more just needed a break. I needed a week or two where I was not constantly thinking about which YouTube videos I was going to make next or which YouTube videos I was in the middle of making and what was going to be good and what I was going to do, what I was going to say. Like I needed like a break from the pressure of that because ultimately it's creative work, it's generative work, like coming up with stuff all the time. That's why I love it. That's why I've like stayed in this work because my dream was to be a career creative. And this is allowing me to do that. But, one needs time once in a while to sort of take a breather and remove oneself from that pressure to continue generating, to get perspective and make sure that the well doesn't run dry. So I like really, really needed that, especially after the holiday season, which was so intense. It's so intense in this industry, the holidays. And, we did just a lot during that time. And I think either we're running the risk of burnout or had like kind of crossed over the threshold into burnout. I think I was really underperforming in my job the first couple of weeks of January because I was burnt out from the holidays. And I didn't really understand what it was until I was talking to my sister one day. She's like, how are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm working, I'm going along and I'm working, but I'm just like, I'm only like 1/4 of myself is sort of showing up. And I've never been someone to do the least, I think especially when you're self-employed, you really have to have an innate drive to do the most, to do well. And I was like, that drive is just gone. I just feel like I'm clocking on and then just, tapping my toes until I can clock off again. And it's so bad to be self-employed and to have that be the vibe. And she was like, you're burnt out. Sounds like burnout. That's what burnout is. And as soon as she said it, it clicked. I was like, oh yeah. At that point, we were already planning the hiatus. We just couldn't quite start it yet. but it really showed me how badly we needed it. Isn't that pretty? Like you can see it's a little warm compared to smoky quartz. It's kind of Tom Ford Naked Bronze. So we created a few compilation videos. What I really wish I had done is filmed this video before the hiatus. I wish I'd filmed like a chatty video like this, telling you all that we were going to take a break and preparing you for the compilation videos. I think that in my mind, everyone knows about the compilation videos because of what we did during parental leave, because the channel has a history with that kind of video. But a lot of you weren't around then. And a lot of you only watch the new videos and you've just started watching 6 months ago and all you've done is watch the new videos since then and you have no idea that there was once a run of compilation videos. You know what I mean? So I had sort of like a cognitive dissonance between what we knew was happening and what we were like preparing for and the multiplicitous you, like all of you who are out there and the information you might have needed to kind of be on board with that. Because I know once the compilation started posting, some of you were confused. You were like, why was this video filmed in 2023? And it was just because the first video in the compilation, it started in 2023. And so it was like a long time ago and I looked different. You know, I was talking about old makeup and stuff like that. So I'm sorry if that was confusing for anyone. Next time, and there will be a next time because we have a trip planned in a few months. We have a trip planned and we are going to release a couple more compilations for it. When that happens, I'll give you better warning and you'll know. And you'll also know because we went through this together, what is about to happen. It's a little hard on a channel to take breaks like that, even with the compilations. If the algorithm had its way, if YouTube had its way, we would just be machines over here, churning out as many videos as possible, never relenting and always trying to kind of optimize each video for clicks, basically, you know. But that's not sustainable. And it's also not pleasurable and it doesn't feel holistic. It's not what I want to be doing with my career. You know, you have to play the game some, but it's like, it's not the whole picture of what I want to be doing. So there's this dance of, you know, giving what one needs to give in order for the channel to thrive, but also staying grounded in what is a healthy career, a holistically healthy career, and what I actually want to be doing and giving. And part of what is going to make this a holistically healthy career is taking breaks from time to time, going on trips from time to time, and not working in the way that we once worked when the wolves literally were at the door and we had no other choice because we genuinely couldn't afford to take a break. That's how we were as creatives for, it's not an exaggeration to say decades, right? So it's hard to break out of that mindset and realize that if we keep going like that into our 40s with a kid, it'll all come tumbling down because you have to take care of yourself. You know, you have to have mental and physical health and balance. You know, that's where the break came from. And it was totally the right call. I feel really, I'm putting on this Kosas mascara, by the way. No, this Kulfi mascara. It's just also purple. The Baddie Lash still going strong for me. I love it so much, but I'm just going to put on a little bit. So I feel more functional in our life because of the work that we did, like organizing my office. I'll try to put in a picture of it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do a whole tour of the office. It's not totally done yet. It's not organized, but at least showing the components on Patreon. So I'll definitely link that. So if you decide to click through and join Patreon, you can like click straight through to that and see the way that the office now looks because I teased it on Patreon a couple of weeks ago. It's just we're set up to be so much more functional now that we've done a couple of those outstanding house tasks and, you know, took the time to do them during the hiatus. I also feel like I have a lot better perspective since I stepped off of the mental hamster wheel of video conception. Not to mention the actual hamster wheel of like producing the videos. But for me, the important thing is like taking a break from thinking about what the videos are going to be because I feel a little bit less pressure now to have it all always be perfect and to come up with the best ideas ever. And you know what I mean? It's like there's so much pressure. I just feel a little more like I can think outside the box. I feel a little bit more healthily creative about it. And that's exciting. I'm excited to try some, especially with the fashion content, which I love making and have sort of barreled into making because it was doing well without really stopping to take a step back and think about all of the possibilities. So I'm excited to work more in that sphere in a slightly less pressured and more, what's the word? Like in a way that holds it a little bit more lightly. Like it's just a little bit more curious. I guess that's what it is, like a slightly less pressured and a little bit more curious and investigative capacity. I have some ideas for that fashion content that maybe isn't so obsessed with not failing on YouTube, and in that way can get at some things that are deeper, maybe more radical than what other fashion content usually gets at. But I'm also curious to know if you're interested in that. You probably are if you're here on Hannah at hannahleesposton.com. You probably are. What do you imagine that looking like? Like, what do you want to see from me, especially fashion-wise? What do you want to see from me? And what do you imagine it looking like? I'm just so curious. And even if it's not fashion, if you are here for the makeup and you really, really want to see something specific, I'd love to know. Please, this is your opportunity in the comments to tell me what you'd like to see. But I especially would love input when it comes to sort of thinking outside the box a little bit about fashion. Because the thing that I've had time to think about, and I'm going to put on some Salt New York cheek products right now. I'm going to do, this is a deep quad. I guess I grabbed it from the lips drawer. This is absolutely classic. I can't find it. I can't find my own. I just really wanted to use old gum. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is use Orchid because I found the medium and deep quads. I don't know where the light quad is right now, but it's because I've been using it. I'm going to, wow, this is exciting. I'm gonna take a little bit of Orchid on my thumb and I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of Auric Glow Lust. Wow, beautiful. And I'm gonna put that on. What I've been thinking a lot about, because taking a break has allowed me to do what I do best, if I say so myself, which is to kind of zoom out and think about things in a more big picture way, in a more philosophical way. And what that has meant practically during this time when my thoughts have strayed to fashion as a concept and fashion content and the work that I'm currently doing here. It's like, what is fashion for? What is its value at this time when we are all grieving so hard and struggling so much because on the highest levels of like power in our world, things are so dark and hopeless a lot of the time. It's just a hard time to persevere as a human. And I think many of us are feeling really tamped down by that and kind of beaten down. And I'm sort of about to answer my own question, I think. Our access to joy feels restricted right now. And we all have this kind of confused relationship with joy. Like, is it okay to even feel it, to want to feel it when there's this darkness? I think that the question of joy and selfhood and identity, one's own individual self and the way that individual self relates communally and relates globally, and the way that joy is present in those individuals and then in those relationships, those are like the fundamental questions of fashion, right? Like fashion is that relationship essentially. And that relationship is so troubled right now, right? Like that relationship is so troubled and the question of how much joy we deserve and where it belongs is so troubled right now. What I've been asking myself is like, is there a way to continue to make the fashion content that I love to make, which is like, how do you wear a skirt and feel good? Or how do you find granularly, how do you find a personal style that makes you feel at ease in your body and like live your best life every day? You know what I mean? Like making fashion content that's kind of still on that level, sort of not questioning that we deserve that joy. And that many of us, because of our personal histories with clothes and with fashion, we need maybe help accessing that joy through fashion. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you access that joy. And also I am on my own journey of figuring out how to access it through fashion. It's like, can I keep doing that in this year, but also sometimes put a taproot down a little bit deeper and touch on these larger questions of trouble and the way that our individual relationships with fashion and with joy are kind of triangulating with various global crises, you know. Not that I'm going to like make a video essay specifically on that topic, although I guess I could. I probably could. It would be really stressful and take a super long time. It's like coming soon in 2027, that video essay, you know, I could do that. But what will it look like to kind of be touching on that from time to time, or at least for us all as a community here on this channel to be aware of that as a contributing kind of bit of context or a contributing idea. That's kind of what I've been thinking about. So what do you think? Like, what does that look like? I'm going to use this on my lips. Oh, but I have that Victoria Beckham thing. Never mind. I'm not going to use this on my lips. It would have looked really good though. It would have looked really good. I don't know if you can tell, but I like don't have any paper towels. I think I've gotten to the point where I have to go, or like washcloths. I have to go get one. I found this tiny little tissue. This is what happens when you clean up all like the random garbage that was lying around that you were making use of from time to time gets cleaned up. And then you have nothing. What I was just going to say is I think the question of whether an individual deserves to sort of pursue the pleasure of something something like fashion or the joy of connection that can come from it. I think the anxiety about that question is subconscious for a lot of us. Like, we don't even know that we're anxious about whether or not it's okay to love your new pair of jeans. And so I think even talking about it that way, like taking that question out of the subconscious and putting it out there on the table for all of us to see, can be cathartic. And it's that kind of thing that I want. I don't have all the answers, right? But I do have questions. And I think that it can be galvanizing to take the questions out and look at them, articulate them. And I'm interested in doing some more of that. That's like an example of what I've been thinking about. Victoria Beckham Posh Gloss in the shade Top Down. I saw this and I was like, here's the thing. The only thing I'm into right now in makeup is when I see a color and I'm like, that could have been inspired by my Salt New York collab. I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying she stole it. I think this product might have been released before the Salt New York collaboration. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that when I see a color out in nature, out in the wild, the makeup wild, and I think in theory, the shade of that could have been inspired by the shades that I created with Kiki at Salt, then I'm like, that might be good. And everything else bad to me, right? Everything else to me seems bad. Here, I'm going to try to wipe them off with this nasty little napkin. Ironically, we ended up on the other side of this 2-week hiatus from work in way better shape in a lot of ways, and in some ways in worse shape. Right, in that I'm sitting here filming with an unfinished background and a tiny gross tissue. But we're very much set up to punt ourselves into much better shape in the near future. It's just funny, the funny irony. Now, I haven't really sat back and assessed how it's been going. I'm very happy with the cheek. It's looking good. It's looking like a lot of makeup. You know what? It's looking like a lot of makeup. I'm gonna use powder before I put on the lip gloss. I can't find the Gucci bronzer, even though I said just mere weeks ago that I did use it for a while and then I misplaced it. So I'm back to using this What's Up Beauty one on my neck. And I'm gonna use a little powder. This might be slightly unorthodox and might not work, just to tone down the contrast of the makeup. So I'm powdering my eye. I'm sure this is an actual technique, but I also feel like I just made it up. And it's working so well. I think because my eyebrows are so intense, it was all feeling a little intense. So it's like the same eye look is still there, but it's like I've turned the contrast down by several clicks by putting powder all over it. Oh yeah, I'm so pleased with that. And I'm not gonna powder all over my cheeks because it's a cream. I'm gonna powder around and kind of bring the powder in so that it's only the highest high points that are still really luminous. Okay, it just feels a little more rugged to me. And that was what I needed. Now the gloss. The color is great. The pigment level is kind of high. In order for it to not look like a full lip color on me, like a lip look, I have to spread it pretty thin. And even then, it's a pretty rich color on my very fair complexion. The color's really beautiful though. It's just that, that slightly cool toned brown that I love. And the flavor is weird. I think it's what it is, a little chemically, a little sour. I don't know if that's I mean that in the poetic sense, like a sour smell in your kitchen cabinet. It kind of has a flavor that is the air, not rotten food, but a little musty. Like your refrigerator is smelling a little musty, like you haven't cleaned it out. You haven't deep cleaned it in a long time. It's not that you have rotten food in there. It's just a little bit rank. Kind of tastes like that. It's kind of how it tastes to me. I'm not finding it repulsive. That's just the best way that I know that that's pretty repulsive. That's just the best way I can explain the kind of sort of sour off-putting. It's a very, very, very faint version of that. Okay. I feel like the fact that I haven't fully embraced it sensorially has kept me from wearing it a lot, and also the very high pigment. But the times I've worn it, I've been really excited to wear it, and I do think it's quite beautiful. And that's the look. Did I tell you everything? What happened? I told you what happened. I didn't tell you though that our hiatus got postponed by a wild snowstorm. What I will do is I will let you discover that on Patreon if you decide that you care, because we have gone into detail about it. We recorded a podcast episode on the day that was supposed to have been the first day of our hiatus, but ended up being the day that we realized that the hiatus was getting destroyed by weather. And so we ended up having to take more time off than we would have liked. And we ended up kind of taking a hit because of that, but it was worth it because we just could not go on. I told you what happened. Helicopter. A helicopter flew over, and while I was waiting for the noise to pass, I put on a little more mascara, just in case you're wondering. I told you where I was, what happened, and sort of what's going to happen. I mean, videos will resume soon, business as usual. There is one video that I filmed before the hiatus about my fashion predictions for the year, which we're now 2 months into the year, so I hope that that hasn't aged too badly. That'll post, and there will be some, regular content, but I also just wanted to kind of tell you what I've been thinking about and get your thoughts about potential themes and approaches for videos this year. So I look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for being here and sticking with us through this unannounced hiatus and the unexpected compilation videos that we're posting while we were gone. I appreciate you so much. And, no matter what, because you're worth it, I hope you are taking extra good care of yourself.